Bill Simmons now joining us. Obviously, the Bill Simmons podcast, new HBO shows coming up any given Wednesday. TheRinger.com launches very, very soon. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great. So I'm going to throw this. I want to do NBA playoffs. We got 20 minutes, and I want to stay on this stuff. So let me start with this. I said this, is that it used to be when a kid was called a nerd, that really hurt your feelings. But nerd now, if you're into science, it means you're going to be rich. And it used to be if you were a jump shooting team, you're soft. But that's what Cleveland's become. That's what the Warriors are. I don't love it as much as the more layered NBA game 20 years ago. But are you okay with, Cleveland and Golden State now are just jump shooting teams. Are you okay with that?
So you're getting carried away from Cleveland last night, getting hot.
Well,
sounds like.
They were number 2.
I don't think Cleveland is that team. I don't think ultimately, I think they're one of those teams that they look awesome when they're up 20. It's a great front-running team, and they're also in a far inferior conference. I thought Atlanta was going to give them a better shot, and I actually thought they could have won Game 1. I think Teague's hurt, and the problem with the Eastern Conference, like you even saw with the Celtics with Bradley in round 1, like all these teams have to have the guys that they have. If they lose even one of them, they can't survive it. Cleveland's the only team that could survive Kevin Love, Kyrie, Tristan Thompson. It doesn't matter who goes down. Like, they still have enough. I'm still not sold that the Cavs can emulate what Golden. Like, I wouldn't even put them in the same conversation. Golden State's like the greatest shooting team we've ever seen in the history of the league.
Oh, absolutely. I don't even know what second.
Yeah, I don't either. Probably the mid-2000 Phoenix. But I was listening to what you were saying about the Lakers and Paul George. I don't think they're going to get him. I think Bird would be crazy to trade Paul George. But I think what the Lakers and the Celtics are both trying to do is they want to get a superstar or an all-star with their lottery pick, because then that will allow them to get the second star. So for the Lakers, it's like you don't care if you overpay for Paul George, because if you have Paul George and Durant gets knocked down in round 2, now you can go to Durant and say, hey, we have Paul George. Want to come here? We have a real guy for you to play with. And I think what happened in 2007 when Danny Ainge made the Ray Allen trade, I thought it was a terrible trade when it happened. I was like, what are you doing? Why are we trading for this guy who's a little bit past his prime to put with Paul Pierce? Like, where does that get us? And the whole reason they did it was because it then paved the way for KG to want to come there, because he looks at it and he goes, oh, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, this is great. I'm going to go there. And I think the Lakers and Celtics are both in that spot. Like, they have assets, but they don't have anything that would actually intrigue Kevin Durant or somebody like that to go to their team.
I said when somebody's really great, like Nick Saban in the SEC or Steve Jobs when he was living at Apple, it forces you to re-examine everything in your life. Golden State is now so profound, Bill, that if I'm the Lakers, I say to myself, we could get DeMar DeRozan, but he's not an efficient three-point shooter. We could get Ben Simmons. The one thing he can't do is shoot. We're in Los Angeles. Yeah. There's lots of options. I think the Lakers look at the Warriors and think, in any other era, we'd take DeRozan and Ben Simmons. But I think they're going to go for like a Boogie Cousins and more efficient players. I think the Warriors are changing the way what Chip Kelly did to the Pac-12. You couldn't have 250-pound linebackers anymore. I think the Warriors are influencing the game of basketball globally.
Well, what they've done is they've murdered the power forward position. And if you're building a team, the strangest thing that happened this season was we had too many power forwards for the available minutes in the season. And it just kind of happened overnight where everybody tried to go small to match what the Warriors were doing, and even teams like the Celtics and the Hawks were doing. And you had this whole type of player that just became irrelevant, and everybody wants – this is why Harrison Barnes is going to make $120 million.
Oh.
Everyone wants perimeter guys. Like this guy Jaylen Brown on California, who I don't know if you watched Cal this year.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, he's a year away. The guy offensively is rawer than raw. And this guy could go in the top 5 because teams are so desperate for perimeter guys. This is why the Celtics were ready to give up the 2016 Brooklyn pick and 3 other number 1s to get Justice Winslow, because Ainge saw it. He's like, perimeter guys are going to be the biggest asset you could have in this league. So I think where everyone's drifting is perimeter, and they don't care about the big guys as much. Like the Kings are going to try to trade Boogie Cousins this summer. If you're the Lakers, would you give up the second pick in the draft for a big guy?
Yeah, because I live in Los Angeles, and I got the beach, I got the Clippers, I got the Rams in town, I got UCLA. I can't afford to rebuild for 3 more years. Time Warner's on my butt. They want real numbers. Kobe's gone. So I have to be more interesting, and I'm sorry, but D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Nance and Jordan Clarkson and Ben Simmons, that's a 29-win team, isn't it? So I'm going to be bad for 3 more years?
All right, I'm going to flip that around on you. All right, so 2012, Golden State, they have Steph Curry and they have Klay Thompson, and you could say they were in a similar position, right? They just have young assets. They don't really have anything.
Right.
They started to grow. They lucked out with Draymond Green, although they didn't totally know it until last year. And 2 summers ago, they had a chance to trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. Actually, it was Klay Thompson, David Lee, and probably something else for Kevin Love.
And they didn't.
And they really thought about it, and they kept their team. They're trying to build around the nucleus they already had. And I think if you're the Lakers and you're the Celtics, unless the supply and demand shifts so that you have a situation like what the Clippers gave up for Chris Paul is just a great trade. You know, like when you really look at what they gave up, it was probably 40 cents on the dollar.
But you're making the argument the Lakers could duplicate Golden State. I would argue in the history of the league, I don't know if anybody has hit on 3 or 4 straight players like Golden State. They feel like a historic outlier.
Right. I guess I'm looking at it like a Celtics fan. I don't want them to panic. Listen, I was like Boogie's last. I'm in his corner. I think he's great. I think he's a good guy at heart. I really worry if it just was too many years of dysfunction. I mean, you think about him, it's like 6 straight years of just crazy ownership, crazy front office moves, multiple coaches, lots of turmoil, and now he's in his late 20s, and it's like, what kind of damage does that have on somebody? So it's almost like if you adopt a rescue dog that has just been in too many bad houses, his behavior changes.
Sure.
And I wonder, like with Cousins.
Oh yeah, Boogie Cousins is just.
I don't know.
It's a Band-Aid. He's a Band-Aid. He's more interesting and can make you good now. Ben Simmons long term. I think what I'm saying is look at the culture of Los Angeles. This is why Pat Riley doesn't want to rebuild because it's Miami. If you're in Milwaukee, you can rebuild all the time. I don't think you can rebuild in Miami and LA. I said something else this week that people fired back at me, and I said I got nothing against Luke Walton. I think he's smart, but I think the Warriors are the easiest great team to coach ever. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's the easiest great team. I have very few egos. I don't have to manage minutes. I have all youth. I don't have to manage minutes. I have three ball handlers, 8 shooters, no bad free throw liability guy. I don't have, good God, Luke Walton is a substitute teacher. They go 39 and 4.
I disagree because Kerr did a couple things that a lot of coaches wouldn't have had the balls to do. Right? He comes in, he told Iguodala a year ago, like, you're coming off the bench. Sorry. Just the way it's going to go. David Lee gets injured. Draymond Green, they're just better with him. David Lee comes back and says, sorry, you're just not going to play. Those are really tough decisions for a coach to make. And you don't see it that often in the NBA where somebody's just like, I'm gonna put you in a worse position than you thought you were going to be in, but you're still going to buy into everything that we're doing. And I think when you have Steph Curry, you can do it, but it's still hard to do, and not a lot of coaches can do it.
But why give Luke Walton credit for those great moves? People are anointing Luke Walton, 36, average NBA championship coach last 15 years, is 55 and a half years old. We looked it up. Luke Walton didn't make those moves. He's an assistant. Right. He's going to take a team that is now outside of D'Angelo Russell, lacking any 3-ball shooters. They don't have a bench. I mean, I think this idea that Luke's going to come down to Los Angeles, Jason Whitlock said the other day, in 3 years, he's going to be winning 32 games and get canned. If they don't get the May 17th ping pong ball, what are they? Durant's not going there. LeBron's not going there. They're going to end up with Al Horford, aren't they? Aren't they?
I would rather take a chance on Luke Walton and just retreat somebody. To me, I like taking a chance on a young guy. I think that's what you have to do. That's why even the Knicks, Derek Fisher was a semi-disaster. But I would rather take a chance on a first-timer than bring back somebody who's on their 4th job, which I think a lot of NBA teams just play it safe. I think there's probably only 5, 6 coaches that really matter and that can really influence.
Stan Van Gundy, one of them? I like him.
Yeah, I think he's one of them. I think he certainly gets the most out of his teams. What's an interesting debate is whether Vogel's one of them. You know, because Vogel had some real success with Indiana. If you look at 2012, 2013, like they had Miami on the ropes a couple times, and that was those were really good teams.
Yeah. With all right, let me ask you this. It's funny. I was talking to a friend of ours recently, and we were talking about loyalty and risk taking, and we said, in America today, everybody loves risk taking, and then everybody congratulates you for loyalty, but they're often at odds with one another. Do you appreciate, because of your life and your risk taking and your free agent move? Do you now have more of an appreciation for the free agent in the NBA? I'm not a loyal guy because I grew up with 8 divorces, non-traditional family. I was self-reliant, had to be. I've never been a loyal guy or a traditionalist. I'm always trying to get to the next place and save my arse. You came from a more traditional family, but you've been now a free agent.
Wait a second. My parents got divorced when I was 9.
Mine got divorced at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15.
Wow.
Do you appreciate free agency more? Because we all grew up in the loyalty world, Bill. You played for the Celtics. You were a Celtic. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I still wonder. You really go back, especially in the NBA. It wasn't as loyal as you totally remember. You know, like Kareem just dumped Milwaukee for the Lakers. Shaq dumped Orlando for the Lakers. Like guys have jumped. Big free agents have jumped where they were surprised that they were gonna, jump. I think the thing that's changed, and I think a lot of it has to do with league pass and the fact that it really doesn't matter where you play anymore. Durant and Westbrook are just as famous in Oklahoma City as they would be anywhere else.
Sure.
I think the thing that's changed is players really appreciate well-run franchises now. And I think that's why Riley's able to get these guys.
Yeah.
People look at Riley and they're like, that guy knows what he's doing. That guy has a 25, 30-year track record, actually more than that, 35-year track record of real success. And I think that the odds of players just going to dysfunctional organizations because they happen to be in L.A.,
it's not gonna.
That's the biggest obstacle for the Lakers.
No question. That's why the Knicks can't land anybody.
That's the same thing for the Knicks. And it's like, if you want to live in L.A., you can still do it during the offseason. A lot of these guys are here. June, July, August, September. They're all living here. They're all in Manhattan Beach or Malibu or wherever. That doesn't mean they have to play here.
Yeah, I had something happen to me for the first time in my career yesterday.
What?
I felt guilty. I got to tell you a story. So it's a long story, but I now live in an area with a lot of hockey guys and a lot of Clippers, and now a bunch of LA Rams. So yesterday, I'm not going to get into particulars, but Blake Griffin told somebody that I know, Cowherd hates me.
What?
And it ruined my night. So I thought to myself, first of all, I don't want people to hate me, especially.
This is like when that quarterback made you feel bad. Who was the quarterback that made you feel bad?
Who did I?
It was like 2 years ago.
Andy
you ran
Dalton. Andy Dalton.
Yeah, Andy Dalton. You were like racked with guilt. You're an opinion guy. You're going to have opinions.
Yeah,
Stick by your opinions.
Here's the thing, though. Blake Griffin has gotten better range. He's a better free throw shooter. He works his tail off. I have been unduly harsh on him. He is a very good player, top 15 in the league, and I almost never say anything nice about him. Derrick Rose is a shoe salesman. He can't stay healthy. I'll live with that. I felt bad. I think I owe Blake Griffin an apology. I've never done this. Have you ever in your life, Bill, with one player felt guilty? You were too hard.
Or coach.
You're tough on coaches,
yes,
Simmons.
Specific one.
You're brutal.
Well, most coaches are bad. It's not my fault.
Bill, come on. You are brutal on coaches.
I'm sure I felt bad about stuff over the years. I remember I ran into the Farrelly brothers once right after I ripped Fever Pitch, and I think they were genuinely hurt. And it actually hurt my feelings that they were hurt, and then I felt bad. And then Fever Pitch will come on. I'll be like, you know what? That movie was terrible. I shouldn't feel bad.
How did you rip Fever Pitch? That's a Boston movie.
I watched it 2 nights ago.
Oh, God. Fever Pitch. The fact that Kristine thinks it's a Boston movie is the problem with Fever Pitch.
Isn't it?
Well, it's
his 3 friends do not represent Boston in that movie.
No,
I see what
you mean. It was an inaccurate.
And by the way, if you had Red Sox season tickets like that, you're not risking them for a girl. You're just not. No human being would do that. It's not happening.
Yeah, I'm a Mariner fan. You'd give up the Mariner tickets for, even
well,
with
that you might do. Wait, on Blake Griffin, though, he's the most interesting summer story to me because Doc came out and said he's not trading him, right? So now what happens if he gets an awesome offer for Blake Griffin? Because you have some desperate teams. And, remember, like, Minnesota wasn't going to trade Kevin Love. Then LeBron went to Cleveland, and all of a sudden Cleveland's like, we'll give you Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love. And they're like, great. They did the trade. And I wonder if there's a package out there that would make the Clippers say, oh, really?
Oh,
You're going to offer all of that for Blake Griffin, who missed his rookie season with a knee injury and just missed half of his last season and has leg problems and is mad at our training staff? You're going to give us all of that?
Well, and don't you think the Clippers have to make a massive move to get any further in the playoffs than they have the past 3 years?
They have to reboot, don't they?
It does feel like those three guys, as your three guys, cannot win a title.
Right. They can't win a title.
I'm not sure those three guys can play together in crunch time for 4 straight rounds and win a title.
Bill Simmons, HBO, Any Given Wednesday launches
June 22nd.
June 22nd. New site later this year called TheRinger.com. He's got his wildly popular podcast. Okay, one of the things I've appreciated about you, not only your ability to kind of reinvent I always call you an idea guy who writes. You're really an idea guy beyond being a writer. You have a lot of different, that's what you do very, very well. Probably the best of anybody I've ever known in this space.
Thank you.
So I would say this, is that you have always been somebody who pushes back, and not just management, but ideas. You talk gambling. I think it's moronic that this network I'm on right now owns part of DraftKings. That's gambling. Do you think Goodell and that I know you're not a fan of, but I say Vegas Raiders, it's time. You're a dinosaur if that bothers you. 3% of NFL bets are from Vegas, 4% are from Hoboken. What do you think of the NFL in Vegas?
I like it. I just feel like all the sports are heading this way because you always got to just follow the trail of money. And they have to figure out a way to get more of a cut of all this gambling stuff because people like gambling. And, part of the reason that everybody was so discouraged on gambling and sports and so afraid of it and all that was from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. We had all these different scandals, right? Like the 50s had this giant basketball scandal, and football had, rumors of all this different stuff. College basketball had a couple scandals in the 70s, and there was this feeling like, oh, if you have gambling, it's all hell's going to break loose. And I think people are just smarter than that. First of all, it's so easy to monitor this stuff. Like if you and I put giant bets on some random Utah-Charlotte game that is just way more money than anybody would ever put on that game, and then the line moves 4 points, and then the line that it moves toward, that team covers, they know that stuff. They notice it. I just think it would be hard to pull off, and I think it's time. And I think the thing that's crazy to me, and I've been saying this for 12 years, how is it not gambling for me to go into 7-Eleven, buy scratch tickets? What's the difference?
Have you ever watched New York television? I mean, the biggest phonies in the world, these New York legislators, if you watch New York local news, there's Powerball ads constantly. That's a 90% hold. Sports gambling's a 50% hold. Do your homework. You can win half the time.
Yeah.
It's a real chance to win in sports gambling.
Totally. And there's also a market for it. And we also have track records of this working in other countries. Like, I remember going to London for the Olympics, and I saw one of those William Hill places, and I was like, whoa, you just go in there? And so I walked in, and it was like, could have just bet on anything. Well, it's not like London's in chaos. It's not like they have all these Premier League fixing scandals and all this stuff. It just seems like it's time, and it seems like, first of all, if they're going to do this, then our ticket prices should drop, right? That same thing I feel like about when the NBA is going to get jersey ads. This is all great. Make as much money as you can, but have that be reflected in our ticket prices. Nobody ever makes the correlation with that, right?
That's a good point.
I have a question for you. Tom Brady, is it time to let it go? Sit out for 4 games? Is it time?
Why? He got railroaded. It was a smear campaign. Why should he let it go?
Well,
if somebody did a smear campaign on you, would you let it go? Would you be like, you know what? I'm going to take it. Somebody made something up about me. The general public thinks that I'm a cheater, and it hurt my marketability. It's hurt my legacy. I'm going to let this one go.
So
why would he do that?
Well,
I would be mad at him if he let it go. At this point, just keep going. I want it to go until he's 80.
Well, Colin doesn't think that it was a smear campaign.
well, a deflator.
Was it?
I agree with you, Bill, for the record, but you
This
don't.
guy's one of the best football players of all time. And they get word that he might have been deflating the balls or somebody or whatever. Like, think about if this happened in the NBA. Adam Silver found out that LeBron maybe something. Are they going to, like, try to catch LeBron James? Like, the NBA would rather destroy evidence that would implicate LeBron James. Why would they want LeBron James in a scandal?
What happened with LeBron? Tell me, what are you insinuating? I didn't hear.
I'm not insinuating anything. I'm saying, like, if the NBA handled this.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They would tell Brady, hey, like Adam Silver would just be like, hey, hearing that these balls were deflated, like, can you guys fix this? We don't want to have to come down and try to whatever. And instead they're sneaking around trying to catch the people. They're writing down the numbers from the gauges. It's like, and then they're not. There's no evidence that they didn't even measure all the balls on the Colts sideline. They had no idea what the ideal gas law was. I think the whole thing's insane. But I've actually read about it. So I think most people haven't actually read the details.
Well, you have a lot of time off. You should have read about it 7 times. When the last time you worked? Gee, what a life.
That's true. Well, I've been working late. The last few months I've been working. It's tough to get back in the groove.
I know. Listen, you're like...
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back in the groove.
You're like Obama. It took me like 6 months to get you on the show for 20 minutes. Okay, so listen, Simmons, HBO Sports, TheRinger.com, that's his new site, launching very soon, HBO any given Wednesday. By the way, Katie Nolan...
Yeah.
Garbage Time is trying to crowdfund $10,000 to dedicate a Central Park bench to David Ortiz, and it's called benchforbigpapi.com, $10,000. I'll put in $500 if you do.
No, I think she already passed it.
Oh, it already passed $10,000?
That's not surprising.
Yeah, I think it already happened.
Oh God, that's good.
So let's get some
$500
around the bench.
I'm going to save my $500 and spend it on myself.
Oh, they actually still need about $5,000. I just heard.
Okay,
so,
how about $250, Simmons? I know you're struggling these days. $250 each to help.
What are we helping?
We're
fine. I'm in for $250. That's
okay.
great.
Simmons,
how did you rope me into that?
Well, listen. Now you're very busy. Now we're going to get into big macro stuff. You and I wanted to talk NBA stuff mostly today. We're going to have you on again. You're only doing one show a week, dude. I'm going to be doing 4 hours a day. So let's give it about 2 months. Marinate.
That's your fault.
Okay. Well, I know.
That's your fault. It's not. You're just letting them work you to death.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
How many hours of opinions can you give?
God, seriously.
By the way, did you apologize to John Wall yet? That's my least favorite Cowherd take. Just back off. Just admit you were wrong on John Wall. Just back off.
You've said some nice things about John
Call
Wall.
it a day.
I've said a lot of nice things about him.
Derrick Rose, not so much.
Have you officially backed off? I'll give the $250 if you back off on John Wall.
He's like 95% backed off, I would say.
I would say I've mostly backed off.
How about 100%? What's wrong with John Wall? He's a great guy.
No, I feel I'm being
Everyone in Washington loves him.
You're bullying me now. I don't feel
I'm
comfortable.
not bullying you. I just want you to fix this. It's a bad corner for you. John Wall's a good guy. And by the way, did you notice John Wall sitting next to Maverick courtside yesterday?
I saw it. Maverick.
That got conspiracy Bill's juices flowing for a Kyrie John Wall trade if the Cavs don't make the finals.
I kind of like that.
Oh, yeah. Conspiracy Bill. It's on his radar.
All right. I apologize to Blake Griffin. I apologize right now to John Wall.
Nice. You did it. Oh, I'm so happy. Yeah. I'm sending my $250 to Katie.
All right. We'll talk soon.